Hello and welcome to our video where we're going to go through our RunwiseFX EA. So this is a full guide. This is part one where we're going to focus on manual trading. So we've got the panel running on the chart. The first thing to do is to make sure we've got a smiley face in the center of the panel. If not, you need to make sure that that is ticked with the auto trading with the green play button. And also under expert properties, if you press F7 in the common tab, you need to make sure it's got allow live trading. And on MetaTrader 5 they call it algo trading, but it's the same sort of thing. If you've still got a sad face, then you may need to ask your broker to enable EAs on your account. Okay, and perhaps the next thing to do is to use MetaTrader's chart shift, which we've got here. That allows you to shift your candles over to the left so that the labels don't appear over the top of your candles. So that's available in properties, and it's this chart shift here under the common tab. And then we've got our lines there. We've got the yellow is your stop loss and the cyan colour is your take profit. We can do the familiar thing of unpinning the line, and then you can just click on the label and then just drag it up and down. The take profit is moving because it's currently by default set to a risk reward ratio. And also if you click on that little triangle there, you get a little pop-up where you could type a price in or set number of pips and a few other settings. And then you can choose then to just pin it into position just so you don't accidentally move it. And you can also just, when it's pinned in like that, you can just click on the label and that'll bring up that same pop-up. The next thing to think about is our definition of a pip. So we use classic pips. So that's a change in the fourth digit, say on Euro USD. And that's regardless of whether you've got a 4-digit broker or a 5-digit broker. So we would quote there the spread 1.3 it is at the moment, and people seem to prefer that, just using classic pips. MetaTrader uses points, which varies depending if you've got a 4-digit or a 5-digit broker. So here this is a 5-digit broker. Under MetaTrader it'd start quoting like 13 rather than 1.3. But if you prefer points, then you can under config button and then go to advanced. If you change this point to pip divider to 1, then that would use points. But we think classic pips is the best. It's also good for like trade copying, so it's nice and constant whether your broker is 4 digits or 5 digits. The next thing we need to do is to get the news working, and also so you can access our library of trade rules. So if you go under tools and options, and what you need to do is under this allow web request is you'll need to add a new URL. So just click that plus button there and then just add in, as it's shown here, HTTP. So no S, just HTTP is fine, //runwisefx.com, and then if you just OK on that. And then what you'll be able to do is to force the news to be captured from our website. Just press the config button, press the tools button, and then click that news capture, and that should then show the news events. And it's also going to give you access to our trade rules library on our website. So if you go to runwisefx.com/library, then you see a great resource. So these are lots of rules that you can actually download into the EA. So we've got some great account management rules that are very popular for like daily profit targets and so on. Got some entry rules, lots of filters where it can check different things. A lot of this is relevant to automated trading, which we'll be covering in part 2. But there's still other sections that are relevant. They've got a great section for setting up pending orders. That one's quite popular, where you can set up pending orders based on the previous London session and so on. So there's some great resources there, displaying information, lots of exit rules, and lots of script rules as well. Let's give you an example. So we've got here, it's going to add a button to the panel which will close all trades on the account. And we have these quick load codes. So this one is S-CA. So what we can do is go to config, click on that code box, and then just type in that quick load code, which was S-CA, and click download. So what that's going to do is go off to our website and just get that configuration. We've got like a scripting engine built into the EA, and it's capable of adding to the panel as well, and that's giving you this close all trades button now. So it's just a great resource there. There's lots of like hotkey rules as well if you want to do things on hotkey press, so you can get the panel working how you want it to work. There's more as well, miscellaneous. There's lots of rules for setting the stop loss in a more sophisticated way. We'll perhaps talk about that a little bit later, but it's a great little resource to have a read through. There's lots of great things in there. And then if you want to remove a rule, you can go to Config, Tools, and then with this code you'll see like a little drop down list, and you'll see the codes that you've downloaded from the library. So if you wanted to remove it, just click the remove button and that would just allow you to just remove that code. Right, let's talk now about the panel itself. So you can, if you click on the toolbar there, you can just drag it around and put it on a different place on the chart if you'd like to, just with that familiar click and drag. We've got a lines button that can temporarily hide those lines. They'd still be active if you had a trade open, but it's just from a visibility point of view. We've got a plus and minus button, so you can make the panel sort of bigger or smaller depending on your monitor. And that one at the end there is just like a minimize and kind of maximize button. We've got the news events that we've mentioned. The red colour there, that's the high impact news events. There's also, in terms of the time, there's these vertical lines. Those represent those news events just on the chart as well. We've got some status text, which will, for the two directions, will show you the risk in pips. So the risk is the stop loss plus the spread. And when a trade's open, it will then change to showing you the profits, both in pips and amount. We've then got the one-click trading buttons where you can immediately open a trade at the market price. Or we've got the pen buttons where you can actually set up a pending order manually. So you can just do the familiar, just click and drag and move around. You can do the same. It's automatically unpinned the stop loss for you. So you can just change the stop loss. And when you're happy, you just could click set. The R button will just reverse it around to the other direction. X would just cancel. But if you click set, you can see now it's just set up the pending order. If you wanted to turn it off again, you could actually click that pen button and then just click the off button. That would just turn it back off again. And if you wanted to open a market order, you could just press that and then that will do it and just send that to the broker immediately. When the order is open, you can see now a close button has appeared on the scaling. So the close supports partial close, so you could change the percentage rather than 100%, you could just close out half the trade. The scale in button will actually add to your position. So at the moment we've got 0.31 lots open. Scaling 100% is just going to double that by opening up an additional ticket there in that direction. And you can see there now we've got the two directions. In terms of the stop loss take profit, we use a hidden stop loss take profit, also called a virtual or a stealth stop loss. This is really popular with our experienced traders. There is lots of advantages to a hidden level that's actually managed by the EA. We do set a broker stop loss, but it's a configurable distance away, and the same on the take profit as well. So you can see there that's the broker one. But the hidden one is actually the one that it's actually going to use, but you need to keep the EA running on the chart. You can set the offset to 0 if you wanted to, but we do encourage using that hidden level. And then when you're ready to close the trade, you could press the close button. But let's imagine you actually wanted to add another position. Because at the moment, we've done the scaling, but that's sharing the same stop loss take profit. But if you click this plus button, that allows you to kind of add in extra positions. So we've gone into like what we call multi-trade mode, and what you could do now is to set up, in addition to that order you've currently got open, you could say perhaps set up a pending order, let's say, something like that, or just open an additional trade, and that would be completely independent from the other one. So what we use is different magic numbers to keep track. So that's your first trade, magic number 2, index 0, and then you could go to there, which is magic number 3, and that could be like a second trade, and you can just keep adding that using that plus button to add to that. And you'll see under config, general settings, when you use that plus button, it increases the value of this configuration item, which is the number of additional simultaneous trades you'd like to have. So to close a trade, you can just click close, and then it's doing a confirmation. There is an EA input if you don't want to do the confirmation, so don't worry, everything is really configurable. So we can just close that, and that will now close both of those positions. So that scaling is kind of linked together. And then we've got our settings for the risk per trade. You can use these little arrow buttons just to change that, and you can configure actually that list that it shows there if you want to put different values in. And then it's calculating then the lot size based on the stop loss. We've got another pending control where you could just go straight to the pop-up, where you could perhaps set it based on pips or a percentage of the average daily range. And also on our pending, it's really kind of quite flexible. You can just trade when the price reaches the line like you would do normally, but you can actually just use it to just alert you, or you can check that the candle has actually closed beyond the line. So just really flexible pending system. You can set a familiar kind of expiry as well on the pending order. We support lots of different ways of specifying that. You can put in a time directly or just have it as a number of minutes. So just a really flexible system. And you can even get it to automatically set up like bracketed pending orders. That's where it's going to set up a buy and a sell. So say you had you wanted 15 pips to set up a buy and sell at the same time, click OK. So that's done now. It's done 2 pending orders. It's set up a sell one, buy one, offset by 10 pips. We do get asked, how do you change between stop and limit types? The system does it automatically depending where the order is placed within the current market price. So you can do that. So again, imagine you're setting up a pending order manually. At the moment it's a stop one, but if you move that to the other side, it'll change then to a limit. So basically whenever the price reaches that line, it's going to trade. So you don't have to do that mental gymnastics of deciding whether you need a stop or a limit. It just does it automatically. You just set where you want that buy, pending order, and then it's going to just set it the limit or stop as required. So that it'll take action when the price is hit. Should add as well, if you wanted to set up a limit order just by specifying number of pips, if you click again on there and say you wanted a limit order 15 pips away from the current market price, then just use a negative number. So it says down there, just use a negative number for a limit order, and that will just position it just 15 pips away from the current price. Okay, and the other thing we've got there is break even. So if you've got a trade open and you just really easily want to set for break even without moving the stop loss and trying to remember where you've put it, if you want to change your mind, you can just tick and untick the break even. Also with our break even is if the trade is in loss and you tick for break even, then it will exit when it goes back to that sort of break even level. So it's quite an intelligent system. Now there is lots of configuration options just to change how the panel looks. So for example, imagine you're not really into pending orders, you just want to trade directly with market. What you can do under config, there's a pending orders, and you could just choose to move the pending buttons up to the toolbar, so they just get out of the way and you've just got a simple buy and sell button. Under config display, there's lots of options. So if you weren't interested in news events, you could just put that to 0 because that's a number of lines to show on the panel for news, and you could untick those. That's those vertical lines. You can add in extra controls for setting the stop loss, take profit directly on the panel. You can even change the text of these labels. We've got various options there. And obviously everything like this, there is more guidance in the manual with everything. We've even got you can put on pivots and support and resistance lines. We've got all of that built in. You can even show some trend arrows on the panel as well. If I click save now, what it's going to do is just for the different time frames, just show you what direction the market's moving in. It's based on a standard indicator called the Awesome Oscillator, which we think is the best one of all the standard indicators. And it's showing you also the number of pips the market's moved in that direction. A negative number obviously means it's actually retraced back since the arrow changed. So that's just a really nice little bonus feature as well. We've even got things like the average daily range. That's really popular and common and really nice to have on your chart. And so you can see those extra controls there for the stop loss. It's quite useful because imagine now you were on the line label where you can access the control there, but imagine you turned it off and you think, Okay, well I would have turned it back on again now because that sell stop loss is there, but the buy one I've just turned off. Well, you can see now you've got the control on the panel, so it's still possible now to access that and just go back to just setting it automatically. Right, so now it's time to talk about configuring the system, because at the moment this is how it is out of the box with an automatic stop loss. We have seen now you can adjust it to a manual price, but what happens if you wanted like a fixed stop loss, say of 20 pips, or you wanted to change the calculation method? Well, all of that kind of thing is done via the config button, which allows you just to change the configuration. Everything's really nice and modular, so you just need to go to whatever section you're interested in. So we want the stop loss. And what you can see there is we've got like a radio selection button where you can select how the stop loss is to be set. So at the moment we're on automatic. We've got a calculation method of average true range, which is very popular. We do recommend it. But another popular one is perhaps parabolic SAR, which is just in the current direction of the market. But you could select fixed pips. If you just wanted a 20 pip stop loss, you can do that. Fixed amount. You can do a percentage of the balance. There is an EA input you can change to do percent based on the current price. Rule is if it comes from our trade rules library. Earlier on I mentioned there was some rules in our library that can set the stop loss in a sophisticated way, so you could use that, or you could just turn the stop loss off. Where this min-max is quite useful as well. A lot of traders, say you're using the parabolic SAR, would like to add on an extra pip. So you can do that with the offset, so that'll just add an extra pip, so just make that stop loss just 1 pip further away. So it automatically knows what to do, whether it's a buy or a sell stop loss. So that's really popular. It's surprising how many traders just want to add an extra pip or two, just in case other traders are using the same calculation method. The min and max allows you to constrain the calculated value. What can happen with an automatic stop loss is it can sometimes just be a bit too shallow. So you can have like a minimum, so you can make sure I don't want the stop loss less than 5 pips, so you can put that minimum in there. And the same with the maximum, you could have had some perhaps freaky kind of price action. That's probably not going to happen again, but that's made the calculated value too large. So you could actually constrain it there so it's no more than 50 pips. You can turn on trailing stop loss by default. We've got the step where it just moves in discrete levels. Another popular option is, say with the parabolic SAR, because it follows the market really nicely. You could tick to trail the stop loss and to trail with the latest value. So as this parabolic SAR, it like, well, say it was a buy trade, the parabolic SAR kind of moves with the trade, and that would follow the latest value from parabolic SAR. So that's a very, very popular option. So that's there. I mentioned we do set a broker stop loss, and it's a configurable distance away. So we're adding on an extra 50%. So that's just so that your broker doesn't really know where your true stop loss is, and 50% just seems to be good to just put it out of the range so the broker doesn't try any tricks of spiking the spread and so on. And then you can then just click save, and that will then change to the calculation method. So we're using the parabolic SAR, which is calculated like this. The parabolic SAR only calculates in the direction the market is going in. So we're in like a buy situation here. So you can see now that is orange, and the reason is we've only got a stop loss for the buy direction, no stop loss set. But you want to risk 2% of your trade. It needs to know what the stop loss is so that it can set the lot size for that. So that's why that's now orange out. And if you try to trade, you just get a message just saying that the stop loss isn't being calculated. So that's just one thing to bear in mind with the parabolic SAR. The next thing to think about is the lot size, which is currently being automatically calculated. Let's go to config, and it's controlled here in the risk lots. So by default, it's going to risk 2% of your account per trade. So that's either the balance or equity, whichever is the lowest. So 2% of that per trade, so that if your stop loss is hit, then you'll have only lost 2% of your account. Or it's like a radio selection list, so you can select a fixed amount per trade, say like 50 euros, so that if the stop loss got hit, you've only lost 50 euros. Amount per pip, so that's pip change in the, say, the current price is how much that's going to be worth in the account currency. Dynamic lots is where we just scale the lots based on your balance, so that's lots per 1,000 of balance, or just fixed lots. So if you just wanted, 0.1 lots, you can do that. What we'll talk about later on is we've got this changes apply to, where you can actually use that to set different lots for different symbols. So you could have like a different lot, say for the pound dollar. There's a couple of other settings here as well. There's got the maximum spread, usually used for the automatic opening, but also for pending orders as well. The blank means it's off by default, but you could set so that if a pending order isn't taken, if the spread is over a certain value. And maximum tickets open on account, that's for automated trading. That can just limit the number of open tickets if you're automatically opening trades. And just one extra thing, when we are calculating the lot size, and we do need, say for that 2% risk per trade, this tick value, and this comes from the broker. So that's really important value, and then that's used in that calculation. Right, the next thing to think about is the take profit. So if you go to config, we've got the take profit there. So at the moment, by default, the system has just a single exit, 1.2 risk reward ratio, where we're exiting 100% of the trade. But we could do something a little bit more sophisticated. So you could set the number of targets to 2. And what we could have is like a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio, where it exits 50% and sets for break even. And then on the second one, that's when we do the close. That percentage is based on the original trade, so we put 100% there and click save. And now what that's going to do is give us 2 targets here. So we've got sell 1 target, sell 2 target with different risk reward ratios, and it's going to just, as the trade progresses. So this is another advantage of having a hidden take profit, is we can actually do things like this. We can partially close and set for break even as well. That break even, by the way, is where it'll tick the box on the panel. So this is separate to the stop loss. It's a bit more clever than just moving the stop loss line. What it'll do is when it's enabled, the system, it's like a secondary stop loss. And when it gets down towards the open price, it'll close out the trade. You can capture a little pip or 2 profit with this setting here. So basically, when the profit in pips drops below 1 and break even is set, that's when it's going to close the trade. So you could just capture perhaps an extra pip. You could also set it to trail the stop loss as well, and make adjustments to the stop loss. So you could perhaps drop the stop loss to 5 pips and get it to trail that and set for break even. So it's a really flexible system. Now if that seems a bit overwhelming, don't worry. In the manual, in Appendix A, there's loads of examples of all the different things you'd want to do. There's examples in there, because there is really some great capability. So for example, what you could actually do is put the target as a negative, minus 0.5 risk reward ratio, set the exit to a negative value. Okay, we don't worry about the trailing in, and just no change to the stop loss. So what Pat's going to do is basically, when the trade opens, if it retraces back a little bit, the negative exit percent will scale in. So basically, in config take profit, if you have a negative value there, that's actually going to scale in. So it's not going to exit, it's going to add to your position. And then if the price comes back and then makes it all the way down to that second target there, risk reward ratio of 2, it'll close both of those tickets. So you get that sort of double benefit there of 2 profitable tickets. So it's just I just want to give you an example just how powerful it is. But you may say, but I'm just new to trading, I just want to have a simple 20 pip stop loss. So you don't have to use risk reward ratio. We've got pips, we've got percent, we've got the amount as well. So you could do that, and then just there. So it's just going back just to having one take profit level now. The reason it says 21.3 pips is because of the spread, because you do have to pay the spread when the take profit's hit. So we automatically add that on for you so that when the take profit is hit, you pay the spread and then you're left with the 20 pips that you've configured. So that's why it's like that. So we think it's really important to have a system that is flexible, because your trading will develop. You know, we do have traders, for example, that have quite an elaborate where they've perhaps got 4 targets and they're just gradually closing out the position, setting for break even, adjusting the stop loss. So it's basically as simple or as complicated as you need it. So just bear that in mind, that it's just got those capabilities if you need it further down the line. So even if you just want a 20 pip stop loss, further down the line you might want to do something more sophisticated, and our tool is capable of doing that. We've also got a few controls relating to pending orders. If we go to config, pending orders, we've got implementation method. By default we use hidden pending orders, which are actually opened by the EA as market orders. That gives us lots of advantages. It means they always operate on the bid price, which is the price you see in the chart and what indicators calculate to. You can do things like automatic one cancels other, where if you've got a buy and a sell pending order and the buy gets triggered first, and it'll automatically cancel the sell one. But we do support broker pending orders as well, so you can get it to just register the pending order with a broker, so it'll operate even if the EA is not running. A broker spread will just add on the spread for you if it's, say, a buy pending order, because a broker one will trigger on the ask price, so not on the bid price, so it'll just make that addition for you, so you don't have to do that manually. We've got a little tick box there. We've got the filters in our library that we mentioned earlier, so you can get those to be checked before the pending order is activated, even if the price has reached it, and just a few controls on visibility and so on. You can put a default expiry in there, and you can put the default offset as well. So if you're just using that pending pop-up, you can change that offset there. Another important capability we've got is under config, in the various pop-ups like in stop loss, we've got this changes apply to. So what it's possible is to have, say, a different stop loss, perhaps for different symbols. So we're on the Euro USD, but perhaps for the Japanese yen you might want something different. So what you could do is do select, and you could put in there just JPY for the Japanese currency. You can put in time frame or trade index as well, so I'll talk about that in a moment. And what you can do now is just set a different stop loss for the Japanese yen, so you might want to perhaps just use a sort of fixed pip, 50 pip stop loss or something like that. So basically now any changes you make will apply to whatever's set here. So it's just a really great way of having different configuration, perhaps for different time frames, because there is that period setting in there as well. And the trade index is quite advanced really. Now we've got this multi-trade mode. Well, what you can do is use it to have a different stop loss for the different magic numbers. So that's quite an advanced capability, but it's really nice to have it there. A few other things that we've got under the pop-up for the stop loss and pending and take profit. There's this snap capability where it can you can get it to just snap on the open and close. So when you're actually moving the line around, it can just snap automatically just to the open and close price. You can just put the cursor there. So that's quite a popular little feature as well. We've got under config. There's quite a few options. We explain them in the manual. A lot do relate to automated trading. The one you might want to tick is some brokers, particularly in Europe, do require a stop loss to be set when you open an order. So it's quite often you do need to tick that for those brokers. But then some of the ECN ones, you have to modify the order after it's open to set a stop loss. So it's just a couple of options. Config advanced, not too much to worry about there. We do cover it in the manual. There's quite a few people like getting the EA to manage trades that are actually opened by another expert advisor. So we do have options to apply the configured SLTP in our EA onto those trades. So there's more guidance in the manual, and just a few things relating to if you shut the chart down and reopen it, we can remember where things were. Okay, and the other one that's perhaps useful is the GUI controls. So let's imagine you've downloaded a rule from our library, and we do have something perhaps we've got like an exit rule where you can exit at a specific time. So what you could do is download, the quick load code there was E-T. So we can download this. So it adds a control there. And basically you set the close time. Now you could obviously just type it into the panel, but you may have like lots of charts and you may want the same time in all of them. But what you can do is go to config, rule GUIs controls, and you'll see the controls that have been added, and we've got the close time one, and you can change the default values. So you could say we want to just close at the end of the trading session, let's say automatically, and now it'll populate that for you and on other charts as well. So that's a really nice useful feature. The other button you might need as well is if, say you've made a configuration change and it's kind of mess the system up and you want to go back. If you click this revert to previous, then it will just go back to your previous configuration before your last save. So that can be quite a useful thing. Most of the other options are really related to automated trading. We'll be coming that into the second part of these videos. So we're just in part one focusing on manual trade at the moment. Another capability worth mentioning is under config. If you go to general settings, there's quite a few things in there. You can change the trade comment and so on. But probably the most useful is this multi-account, where what you can do is if you've got multiple accounts and multiple instances of MetaTrader, you can set one up to be the master, and then on the others you can set them up to be slave. And then what it will do is when you open a trade on the master, it'll then automatically open it up on the slaves for you, including closes and any adjustment to the stop loss. And then on the slaves, the lot size is calculated locally based on the account size for that slave account. So that's a really useful feature that's just hidden away there in that general settings. So as I said before, I do recommend having a good look through our library. There is just so many great things in there. So just spend a moment having a nice look through. And it's just such a powerful system, our scripting. I mean, a great example of the power of it is there's a rule here to display matrix of popular indicator values, quick load code D. So if we just do that config, so it's quick load code D, just download that. So what that's going to do is give you a matrix of standard indicators, all the popular ones like MACD and ADX, all the different time frames and what the market is moving for those indicators on those time frames with a sum total at the bottom. So it just gives you an idea of the power of our library and just how configurable it is. Just one final thing to mention is we've also got, if you go onto our website, runwisefx.com/app, we've actually written a companion application for our EAs, which allows you to control the EAs all from one location. Even if you've got multiple accounts and multiple instances of MetaTrader, it can you can select what account to manage and then what EA. So if you download there, so we've got it available for Windows, but it's also available for the iPhone and the Android as well. So if you have checked that out. We've got a separate video there for actually installing that and getting going with it in a manual, and we'll do a separate video about actually using it. But we've got the app running here, so you can see what it does. It's we've got a couple of EAs running, so you can just select them there under this EAs tab, and you can see all the controls for that. So you can make sort of on the fly changes, and we've got the those indicators there, and it obviously lists all the trades. And you can even view your charts as well, and it's a proper chart as it actually appears on MetaTrader, so with any sort of custom indicators installed and kind of news events and things like that. But it would be better to cover all of this, of course, in a separate video. Right, if you've got any questions, please do email us at support@runwisefx.com. And in the next video, we're going to be talking about doing automation, which is another massive feature where we can actually automate indicators, do some automatic entry exits, and so on, and get statistics and do optimization. So please do watch the next video.